What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Van Chats. On this episode of Coffee and Van Chats, we chat with Michael Levine. Michael Levine has been a sponsor of mine since I could ever remember, and honestly has been a huge part of my cycling successes. And on top of that, when I got hit by a car, he was my lawyer, and he made sure that I was taken care of all the way in Colorado, while his law firm and practice is in Mooresville, North Carolina. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. This episode is also brought to you by Chili Technology. Chili Technology has created two sleep systems which help regulate your body temperature at night by using a mattress pad that circulates water through the pad. And yeah, it's temperature controlled and it's super freaking awesome. I personally use the Chili pad and yeah, I've been loving it. But if you go to chilitechnology.com and use code Croom, you can get $150 off your first purchase. Hey guys, welcome back to Coffee and Van Chats. If you're subscribed to me on YouTube, you probably already know that I've been hit by a car and I knocked out 7 teeth, I think. Yeah, 7 teeth, or at least I had to have 7 teeth redone. And on top of that, way before I ever got hit by a car, I had a gracious sponsor that, I'm going to be honest, man, like I didn't even know he could help me. It's one of those things you didn't know that you needed until you needed it. And I'm really glad I had it. And I have Mike Levine here from Levine Law Group. And yeah, man, how are you doing and what's going on?
How am I doing? Marvelous, I guess. I mean, I don't have any diseases, and nobody in my
No.
family's sick.
Yeah, no coronavirus. Yeah, so like I said, man, I got, you sponsored me for the beginning, but so let's hear this. I mean, you work with cycling teams. You work with a cycling team with me, and then you work with a women's cycling team. What got you started into cycling in the first place? Like, why cycling?
That's a good question, man. I think that it might have been because my office was near a bike shop,
Yeah.
and I was I mean, I think when I had my first kid, I used to. He was such a pretty baby,
Yeah.
and they used to take pictures of us. And I would be like, don't put me in the pictures with him because I was this fat blueberry looking dude, I mean, I didn't spend my life fat, I just
Yeah.
got that way after um I don't know, got too busy working to do any type of working out. And that stuff just catches up on you. I mean, you think you look in the mirror every day, you don't really realize that you're turning to a fat ass, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're just this huge fat guy, and you're like, your doctor's telling you need to take something for your, irritable bowel syndrome and something for your cholesterol. And you're like, well, what happened to me?
Yeah, you're like, when did I cross this threshold of OLD disease, man? When did
like,
I
like,
become
like,
old?
like, what happened? Because I mean, it was
Yeah.
just so gradual. I mean, I was like 245 pounds, and I'm like, what? I used to weigh 180 pounds,
Yeah.
and it's like you knew that you were getting new suits, because I had to get suits because I practice law, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, because I practice, I got to wear a suit.
He's in his office right now, guys, I swear.
But and I'm just changing them out. I'm like not even thinking about it, and
Yeah.
it's like I just was like, I got to stop this. And so I started riding with a good, well, we're not really good friends right now, and I won't mention names, but a guy who I was a good friend with, and we used to he would meet me every morning at like 7 o'clock before I went to work. We'd meet right at the bike shop, it was right near me, and we would go
Yeah.
ride. And we had one rule. It was, if it was 32 degrees or lower, you could call out. Otherwise you rode,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
And it was like, I think I was a terrible rider. I wasn't good, but I
Yeah.
just was so determined that he didn't mind riding with me. It
Yeah.
was like this fat guy will not stop. I mean, he
Yeah.
would go to the stop sign, turn around, come back. We'd go up to Brushy Mountain. I remember him coming back down the mountain, and and I'm just laboring up this thing, and him saying, just go to your happy place, just go to your happy place. And I'm like, well, one thing about my happy place, dude, is you're not in it. So go away, you know?
Yeah, no, for
I
sure.
mean, you do not exist in it. So, I mean, but, and that's what did it. I mean, and then one year he said, let's race, no training
Yeah,
for this whatsoever, right?
yeah.
And so I did
That's
this
how everybody's Cat 5 race starts. It's usually
I
just
did
like,
this
I could do this.
Crossroads series, which is like the most no practice races up to it. And in
Oh man.
Crossroads back in those days, it was like you got on the line with 80 riders. So you can imagine you get on the line with 80 Cat 5 riders. I mean, it was just mayhem and
Yeah.
and carnage. And I was terrible. I mean, 4 laps into every race, I was standing on the sidewalk watching them. It made me
No,
so miserable, man. I was like, so I got determined, and I was like, I'm going to get a coach, and I'm gonna I'm gonna learn to suffer.
yeah.
I'm gonna do some preliminary races next year. I'm gonna bust some people's. I mean, I was like 43 anyway, so I was already way out of prime, right? And
No,
I
but
got this
that's
coach out of Atlanta, and this dude would
yeah.
send me these workouts, and I mean, I did them just with a heart rate monitor. And there was nothing fancy. Heart rate
Yeah.
monitor, and on your trainer just every day.
Oh
Of course,
man.
it probably ruined my life there for a little. I mean, as good as it was for me, it was bad for my family because it was
Yeah.
some obsessed freak who would, you know, just pedal himself to death and sweat like a madman.
No,
But I
that's
came in
awesome.
second in that series the next year.
There you
I
go. There's
busted some kids' asses.
that's what
You
training
know.
does for you, man. That's what training does for you. But it's funny that you mentioned Crossroads because that's pretty much where we met. I mean, we raced a little bit with each other early on, but you race with people, you don't really get to meet people until they do something. And the first night I crash, bust my ass. I mean, I was probably like 250 pounds or something at the time, and I went
I
straight
didn't
into
think you were that light.
yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, I
So
just remember thinking, I can't believe that bike is holding this guy, you
yeah,
know?
and I didn't break my bike. I didn't really get any scratches. But then the next night, it's pissed rain, like piss and rain. And honestly, probably the only reason why this next event happens, so I win the race. Spoiler alert on the next night. So I crashed the first night. Next night, I win the race. But spoiler alert, they probably were just like, this fat dude is a loose cannon. Like, I he literally just went into a barricade on the third lap at like 40 miles an hour, at least to a Cat 5's mentality of what we think is 45 mile an hour. It's like the Instagram versus reality situation. And then I meet you and you're like, dude, that was insane. And you bought me ice cream and we've pretty much been friends ever since. And but yeah, so kind of talk a little bit about how, when with like Crossroads and things like that, like where did you see yourself going with the bike racing, or are you like kind of to a point now where it's like, if I'm not going to race, I'm going to make sure I'm still involved in the racing some way somehow?
All right. Well, first of all, I knew you before that race because the year before that was the year after that. I mean, I came in second at Crossroads. That
Yeah.
the year after that, I wasn't having a great Crossroads, but I
Mm-hmm.
was having the last race of the which Crossroads was miserable for old people anyway, because I mean it's like 5 races in a row for some guy who's like 40 is horrible. I was
Yeah, and
Cat
it's
4
like right
then
after
too.
work. It's
Yeah,
like
I was all the way up to Cat 4 then, boy. Everybody thought I was a sandbagging Cat 4, but I was really just out of shape. But that the year before, like that, I knew you because we would just you pick certain people out and say, if I lose to this guy, I'm gonna kill myself, and you were just that person, you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah, and I had that wreck. Like I tell you,
Oh
man, I
yeah,
had a
that's
bad
right.
crossroads,
That's right.
and man, I went out to City Park in Salisbury, and I was thinking, man, I feel good. You know how you start a race and you think everybody looks like they're in so much pain, and I just feel good, and you're just sitting in
Yeah.
the pack, and I was gonna bust these guys' butts, and some idiot came flying down the backstretch and just overshot the curb, hits the dang on curb. His bike comes whipping back into the lead pack,
Oh
and it
man.
was like, and I get up with blood pouring out of my face. My brother's like, so it
Jeez.
looks like somebody hit you in the face with a, hatchet. My fingers about to come off. I'm like,
Oh man.
I want to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And And so that skidded me out, man. I mean, that freaked me out, right? I went to my buddy JP stitched me up at his he does breast augmentation. He did it at his clinic because I sat in row A in hospital for like it seemed like a day waiting for a plastic surgeon, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, and the next year when I met you, I didn't race that race because I was skittish, man. I went out there to race. I hadn't raced since then.
Was it
I
that
don't know
same
why.
course?
No, that was
Okay.
that was a creamery. That's because we've had ice cream, the creamery.
Yeah,
Day.
that's right. That's right.
I
That's
loved
right.
that course too, man. I loved it.
It's
I was
awesome.
like, man, I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna restart my race career at the creamery, and it
Yeah.
started raining. And I was watching that race, thinking, man, these guys are going slow, man. I should have raced this race. I could have made it around this thing until you took off on that last lap flyer, man. And I was like, I just thought it was amazing. I was like,
Well,
nobody's chasing this guy. It's only a half a mile course. He's gone, man. I mean,
they took it, and that was the thing, man. It was like if you rode, we started with like 80, 90 people. And if you rode top 8 wheels, like within the first 20 laps of the race, not even 20 laps, first 10 laps of the race, you look back and there's only like 16 people left. Like,
yeah, there's like less than 20.
Yeah. If you look at all the pictures from that race, I think it was scarier to ride in the back because of the fact that like, oh shit, like there's spray coming at you. So it looks like it's raining harder than it is. And like, there's people everywhere. People are trying to move up.
those bricks weren't no joke either.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's like a couple brick sections that you had to cross over. That was pretty sketchy.
Yeah, you had to those bricks and those manhole covers. Bricks in turn 1, manhole covers in turn 2. You had to be, really leery of that.
No, for sure.
From there, man, I don't know. You probably kept me more into bike racing than anything. I mean, I've been on and off about it, you know. I mean, I was basically you and your one-man team, you know, and I was trying to stay in shape, you know, every time I stopped riding my bike, which I haven't been on in forever again. You know, and then, I mean, hell, I probably should have stopped supporting you guys because it was killing me. I mean, I had for a while there, I was on like everybody just called me. I was on every damn kit in town, you know.
Yeah, that's the best part of sponsorships. It's like you're wondering like, oh yeah, am I getting ROI off this guy? When in reality, you just have every fucking club calling you. It's like, oh well, they sponsored this guy. He'll definitely sponsor us. So it's not like
there's a time when I was about on every kid out there, man.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I remember that. Yeah, for sure.
And nobody ever people could get hit by cars, get in car wrecks, the doctor could hurt them. Any of the things that I do in my law practice, I'd see him talk about it on Facebook and then go hire somebody else. You're like,
well, that's
I need to get my own money back from the teams.
Yeah, that's actually a perfect segue because it's like I said when I introed us in, it's like, you know, a lot of us pro athletes, a lot of us, you know, that have sponsors, you know, we have these tech companies, these law firms, these dentistries, whatever else, and we don't really realize what they actually do until we need it. And I left I left Rock Hill, South Carolina to move to Colorado to attempt to go to the Olympics. And I got hit by a car. And the first person I called was you, obviously. And
you worked for me.
Yeah, and I worked for you at the time.
You even knew what I did.
I knew what you did.
And got people to sign up.
I knew what you did, and I didn't even really realize like how important or the actual full benefit of it, because it's like it literally sounds almost too good to be true. So you're telling me I sign up with you, you get a check in my pocket, I get a check in it. Now let's make this clear. If you get hit by a car, it needs to be that person's fault. You run a red light, it's a question mark at that point. I'm leaving that with Mike, and he can answer those questions as need be. But Mike, tell us a little bit about what you do at your law practice and how it can be beneficial to a cyclist.
Well, I mean, you know, it's the same thing we do for car wrecks. I mean, if you're hit by someone, you know, then you need to get your medical bills addressed. Most cyclists that I know work a real job. You know, not that cycling's not a real job. Don't get any of the people who are professional cyclists or think they are angry at me.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, you need to get your wages replaced. You need to, and a lot of times, I mean, you're riding around in your underwear. You're getting hit by a 2-ton, 4-ton car. I mean, there's a good chance you might have some serious injuries that need to be addressed. You never have health insurance, none of you guys. You know, hardly any. You know, I mean, so that's it. So you got to get some medical care. And I
And
mean,
if
what
you
we
do,
do,
not good health insurance. Yeah.
yeah, what we do is try to take those burdens off of people, and of course, for a fee, but it's not up front. And
Mhm.
I mean, and I try to educate cyclists. I wrote a thing about the type of insurance that you need
Mhm.
probably 5 years ago. I know it's 10 years ago, maybe. And
Yeah.
I've reposted several times about, your insurance company, you're generally the guy who sells you your insurance who you think is your friend. He's selling you the least amount of insurance for the most amount of money because then he makes the most amount of profit. And he doesn't want you to make claims. He doesn't want to sell insurance that actually provides the benefit that he says he's providing,
Yeah.
because if he does, then those claims get charged back against him and he loses money.
Yeah.
And so, that's the sad part of it is you got all these big insurance companies with making millions and millions of dollars telling you you're in good hands, you're your neighbor, stop
Yeah.
by and I'll check out your insurance, make sure you got enough and whatnot. And in the meantime, they're not selling you enough
Yeah.
because people have small policies. And when you're riding around in your underwear on your bike and get hit by, something that weighs, I don't know, 100 times, 200 times more than you do, guess what? You're going to have some significant injuries and you're going to need some money, on that policy. So I wrote articles about that stuff and nobody pays any attention to them. One of my best friends in the world just was hit and killed, and his umbrella was not. He has 100, 300 policy, and the person
Yeah.
who hit him had a 50, 100 policy. So his family's going to get $100,000. Whoopee, he's dead. That's not enough money to cover up what he's going to lose for his family or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he read the articles. He just didn't get the insurance.
Yeah.
But that's really that's kind of what we do. We try to take it off of people. And sometimes we can help you get care, that's not what we do all the times, but in general, it sets you up so you can go ahead about and get yourself recovered and we'll worry about the other parts of it. In North Carolina, it's a particularly harsh environment, but Colorado's not, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing I kind of want to touch on is, we'll get to the fact that one, he can sign up if you have an issue, contact him. Like he can work with you. We can do DocuSign. We can figure something out. But the one thing that has always kind of come up with me, especially when I worked for you, like, getting people to sign up and things like that is, hey man, like, I don't know if I'm really that injured. And I think, and it kind of makes me wonder if the person that hit him is like, hey, let's try to work this out, between you and me, or he's already talking to the insurance company and the insurance company is trying to settle for the least amount of money. So cause I knocked out 6 teeth or 7 teeth, and really I didn't feel any pain, I guess, in my body or anything like that until about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks down the road. Like I really started to kind of like, oh man, like I got cricks in my neck and all kinds of stuff going on. So what's your recommendation for somebody that's like kind of still questioning the fact of whether they're not, even if they're really quote unquote injured or what have you, when they're trying to sign up? You know what I mean?
Go to the doctor and find out whether you're injured.
Yeah.
I mean, people die all the time from internal bleeding like a few days after wrecks and stuff, So, I mean,
without even knowing it.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't know what's going to injure you. I mean, I've been injured worse taking clothes out of the dryer than, or picking my kid up and put him on the counter. It can't breathe about 2 days. I mean, than some sporting events that I've played. So I mean, you don't know what particularly is going to. You don't know what the dynamics of your body were in those crashes a lot of the time, especially in violent crashes, So you don't know what was torn or one way or the other. So I'd say anytime you're in anything other than a super minor wreck, you should definitely go and at least get checked out, Make sure there's nothing wrong with you.
Yeah. So all you cyclists out there that are more than willing to hire a coach to be professional to tell you how to ride your bike, if you get injured, it's not like all of a sudden you've become a lawyer and now that you know how to handle law. So you probably should call a lawyer, especially if you're willing to get a coach and feel like,
hey, you got to pay your coach up front.
Yeah.
At the end, it just costs us anything. And it's like, what you were saying, I have a small office and we have license in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, New York, and operate just about anywhere. I mean, I have cases in Texas. I mean, I have friends everywhere. So, I mean, if you're injured wherever, we can generally help you handle it or find you competent people to help you handle it. Because that's another thing you got to work. Just like coaches, you can get some of these coaches that, you know, they took the course and they raced a little bit and now they think they know what they're doing and they're terrible. You can get lawyers that do the same thing, except lawyers see you laid up in the hospital with a broken leg or whatever, and they're thinking, well, I know I'm a real estate attorney, or I know I do domestic relations, but I can handle this for this because this guy, he's hurt, you know, and they'll, you know, that's real smart, you know. I wouldn't, there's some things I wouldn't handle my own divorce, and I know a ton about divorce law, you know, and I'm a lawyer, you know. I mean, also, if you got arrested, you know, and you were charged with murder and you called me, I would go and find you someone who's handled a murder case. I wouldn't just
there you guys have heard it.
You know,
Mike's gonna bail me out if I get charged for murder.
I've seen Matthew McConaughey in some, you know, some Grissom movies. I'm sure I can handle this. You know, I mean, your life's at stake. You know?
No, for sure. Yeah, and that's
I mean,
and that's really key. It's like what, you know, and I always hear it too, you know, we get a couple months down the road of like whatever injury they've had, and you know, we've talked and I've been like, hey man, you should really think about something. It's like because they feel like they're outright suing somebody, when in reality it's like, no, what you're doing is you're making sure that you're getting the right, you know, the right amount of money for the accident, and you're making sure that everything gets covered, because the moment you settle, you know, you're kind of in this weird spot, right?
yeah, I mean, look, it's just about accountability and responsibility. I mean, when you teach it to your children, right? I've asked jurors forever, what's the most important things that your grandparents, you know, that you believe your grandparents taught you? And it's all about honesty, reliability, responsibility, accountability. There's always the same things, but you don't want to hold a person who ran you over accountable. I mean, you feel sorry for the guy who was going to be 2 minutes late for work, and instead he, you know, decided to take you out, destroy your $10,000, $20,000 bike house, and you know, and have kill you because he just couldn't wait to get to the stop sign. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. And you're not. It's an insurance company, you know. Because hey, as soon as they pay for your $15,000 bike, their insurance rate went up anyway, you know? So, I mean, it's not about the person. 9 out of 10 people who get sued are like, what? Pay the claim. You know, how did I get sued? Oh, wait a minute. The guy sent you $5,000 worth of medical bills and you offered him $5,000. Well, he was in the hospital for, you know, 2 days. He's gonna have a broken leg. Give him some more money. Get me the hell out of this lawsuit. You know? So it's somebody else is running that thing. The person who hit you probably is sorry and wants you to, you know, be taken care of. It's just a moron insurance company that look up. Hey, if you want to know about insurance companies, just get on the internet and look up Allstate Bad Faith or State Farm Bad Faith or any. I don't want to pick any one of them because they're all terrible. Just pick one, look up Bad Faith, and read the stories about all the horrible crap they do to you. I mean, I got a girl calling me the other day saying, hey, my car, they won't give me enough money for my car, which is classic, right? She doesn't have gap insurance, so now she's got a car that's wrecked, and the person who hit her is only going to give her $20,000 for a $25,000 car. Well, I mean, 9 out of 10 times, I can send this person to a guy who does appraisals and things down in Gastonia, and he can get them $3,000 or $4,000. I'm willing to help her, and that's free. We don't do that. We do that for free.
Yeah.
And the cost of that is her letting us handle her personal injury claim. And I'm like, we send her to the doctor, getting it all going together. And then she shows that, then we call the insurance company. It's like, oh, she settled that case. We gave her $600 cash and told her we would pay $5,000 worth of reasonable medical bills. And she signed that crap. She didn't even know. This is a day after a wreck.
And what's reasonable?
She has what's reasonable?
That's always the best thing. Reasonable.
Nothing to them. What they expect? Wait, you expected me to negotiate at the hospital? Because I've never been in the ER saying, wait a minute, what's that cost? hold on a minute, well, I can't afford that. It's insanity. Nothing's
Yeah.
reasonable, and so you basically got $600 and you don't know what's the matter with you. You have no idea. You could have a torn rotator cuff. You could have any of tons of horrible injuries, and you're woohoo, because they don't care.
Yeah, and
$5,000
$5,000 isn't really going to get you that far in a hospital. I mean, that'll probably get you like an apple and a sandwich and maybe a Coke.
Just saying, you don't even know what it's. They're not going to give it to you anyway. It's just a joke. Everything's unreasonable at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go to the chiropractor? Unreasonable. You found out you got a chipped tooth? Probably chipped it on something else. Not reasonable. And also you already signed the release, so even if they do, there's no lawsuit against insurance companies for not paying your reasonable medical expenses. So this girl's got SOL, has no case whatsoever, and she's going to be end up $4,000 shorter in her car because she didn't call a lawyer, which just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. No, and that's, I mean, because that was key with me. It was like, part of me, the reason why I did it was one, because I had no fucking clue what I was doing. And then on top of it, this is like the best opportunity for me to actually learn what my sponsor does. And yeah, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I got hit by a car. I called Mike, and within 2 weeks I had all my property damage that was cleared. Boom, done. The list of it, property damage, done, clear. It was a process to get all my medical bills and things paid because it was a long time to get teeth put back into my head. Like, that doesn't happen overnight. That was like 5 to 6 surgeries of, me going to the dentist, then putting teeth in and out. So it was, a walk. But all I had to do at the end of 6, 7, 8 months time, when I was completely done, completely recovered, Mike handled it. He paid my medical bills. He literally was just like, here's what we settled for. Here's what you're getting. And I can give you a check of the entire settlement and you can pay the medical bills on your own, or I'll pay your medical bills. Boom, done. Just do it for me. Get it out of my way. So all I had to do is get a check for some of my lost wages. And and boom.
Well, you got more than your lost wages. You got a good check, man.
I did get a good check. So should we chat about that? I didn't know if that was okay to chat about. It was a great check. I just didn't want to be like, I got payday, baby. I didn't want to talk about it. I did get it in all ones, and I made sure that I threw it all over my house. I was going to do a YouTube video, but he wouldn't let me do it. So this is making up for that. But yeah, like, honestly, guys, it's a no-brainer. So, like, don't play the game that you think all of a sudden lawyer, because some guy's willing to show you some quick cash right off the bat. It's one of those things where it's like, hey, would you rather take $500 now for some reasonable medical whatever bullshit, or make sure that it's all covered? And honestly, you don't even have to stress about that. Just focus on your recovery and go on with life,
Well, and the other thing about it is you just got to classify what your sponsors do. I mean, back on what we were talking about, because, I mean, look, I get it. I'm not a bash on any particular bike brands, but yeah, I'll give you these. Big companies can give you a bunch of frames if you buy some frames. They're out no money. You know what I mean? And you ride around on them, and you put their stuff up here. And if you win, you thank them. I mean, energy drink companies, same way. They're giving you stuff that doesn't cost them a thing. But if your title sponsor's a dentist in your hometown or some lawyer, you might want to think, well, guess what? If I, actually use this guy and prep this guy up, I'll get more money and he'll give me more things. You know what I mean? Like maybe I won't have to sit under a tent. I can have a van. Maybe my bike will just be there. I'll have to haul it around in a stupid airplane. I mean, so you got to kind of gauge your sponsor, in that way, because sometimes you can be real beneficial for your sponsor. Not that all sponsors don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking one sponsor or another sponsor. I'm just saying, pay attention to what some of these people do, that you're out there in the community reaching out to get them to do stuff. I mean, hell, if your sponsor's a coffee house, the least you could do is freaking go over there and have some goddamn coffee with your teammates on a ride. You know what I mean?
No, for
sure.
sure.
How freaking delicious it is,
Yeah. Well, I think that's the whole thing. Like even some masters riders, junior riders, if you're listening to this, any low level riders that are wanting sponsors, like it is money out of the pocket. And how are you going to offer that ROI or that return on investment? And long story short, I'm not telling you if you're sponsored by Mike to go get hit by a car and then hire him. And
yeah, please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't go be hit by a car. But if you are,
yeah,
you
but
might want to call a guy. You know.
Yeah. So think about it and think it through in the sense of like, hey, I actually want to, like, pay it back or pay it forth. It's like if you hear about your friends getting hurt or like, hey, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you're going to go pay $10,000 for your Specialized. The first thing you're going to do is tell your friend and your buddy how great this Specialized bike is. But yet the local lawyer, the local dentist, or whoever that sponsors you, you're just telling them about whatever dentist, whatever lawyer, or, hey, I'll handle that for you. Or you can just handle that on your own. Yeah, because like, what's your fee? It's like 33%, and even sometimes I've known you. You're a good dude.
Why are you busting on my fee? If that's
it's not
industry standard.
I know I'm not busting on your fee. That's what I'm saying. It's like nothing. You know what I mean?
But I almost never charge anybody 30.
And that's what I'm saying.
And I sure didn't charge you 33.
I know you didn't. And that's what I was gonna get to in the sense of like you're a good dude. On top of that, like you not only do you do industry standard, but then 9 times out of 10 you cut it. And I don't know how you stay around when you're cutting it like that, because it wasn't just with me because we're buddies and you're my sponsor or whatever else. Like when I worked for you and people that you didn't even know, you made sure that you take care of them. And the chiropractors. So that's another thing too. Like the chiropractors work with the lawyers, the doctors work with the lawyers, the doctors work with the chiropractors. This is one big bucket and Mike takes care of it. It's unreal. So
let's talk about something more fun than my job.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's the surfboard in the back, man.
That's not my surfboard. That's Max's surfboard, man. I feel bad, man. That was from my Puerto Rican days, man, and I had to bring it home.
Yeah, Mike used to work at or own a hotel in Puerto Rico, and he had to bring all his surfboards
for a brief period of time.
That was a good time.
I got to tell you that the guy. Look, I'm not to bash on anybody, but we just didn't. The guy who I owned it with, we didn't really see eye to eye on how to run a business. I mean, it was a great little hotel, but man, it's seen hard times, dude. I mean, we bought it during what was the mosquito thing down there? I can't even remember.
It's not West Nile. What was it?
What was everybody?
I gotta look it up.
Anyway, we bought it during when everybody was dying or supposedly getting sick from the mosquitoes, and then it got just hammered by those 2 hurricanes. I mean, hell, my brother and I went down there to work on the first hurricane, and then it got hammered by another one, and now the COVID-19. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, this was
when just a blessing that I didn't see eye to eye with my partner.
So this is when the Zika virus.
Zika, yeah, man. Yeah. Zika, hurricane, Corona. That damn thing is cursed. I mean, the best thing ever happened to me was to get out of it. Although I do miss it, man. We had some good times. Puerto Rico down there with me. That was fun times.
They still use the video that I shot as their ad, which is pretty cool. That's like one of the best videos I shot. I shot it on a GoPro. But yeah, so what's your thoughts on this whole coronavirus thing going on? I mean, because North Carolina, y'all were a hot spot for quite some time, right?
Man, unbelievably, where I live, is not given the level of stupidity around here is amazingly, it must be the luckiest county in the whole freaking state, because I mean, my buddy works at the ER and he's like, man, we ain't had a coronavirus case in 3 weeks, and I'm going like, I can't even go into convenience stores. I'm like, with my mask on, I'm like, nobody's wearing masks unless the business completely forces you to wear it here.
And you look like an idiot if you're wearing said mask too.
I don't care. I'll wear that thing. I mean, I can't. It freaks me out. I mean, but I don't want. I mean, I don't know how it's going to affect me. I might be that person who's dead. I mean, it's ridiculous to think that it's fake in some way. I mean, and it's ridiculous to think that we as a people shouldn't care about other people and not want to get them sick. And it's just, I mean, it's disgraceful that Europe and other nations have handled it, and we look like a bunch of morons. I mean, there's not anybody in Europe right now going, man, America's the greatest place on earth. It's like America's the dumbest freaking country on the planet right now. You know, we have the dumbest freaking leader. We have the dumbest. I'm hitting my table in
worries.
I mean, in the Senate. I mean, it's just a damn disgrace. And I mean, who knows, man? Maybe we needed the dumbest leader in the world to make us come to a reckoning of the imperfect society that we've become. You know, I mean, maybe we needed him to instigate, you know, racist, sexist, you know, people, so we can delete them from our friends list. You know, I don't know, but you know, I mean, it's just a sad time. I mean, but who knows? Maybe I mean, I worry that we didn't do anything when we had a chance, you know, and the fact that they give billions of dollars away to corporations, and because, you know, these billionaires just need the money, and you got people who, I can't imagine, it's July 1st was just, you know, a couple days ago, are out of work 5-6 months and don't have a paycheck. I mean, I know if it all went to crap tomorrow, it hasn't for my business quite yet, but it will. I mean, I will feel it. But if it all went to crap tomorrow, I guess I could live on credit cards for a year. You know what I mean? I wouldn't like it, but I could. You know, there's people who are probably starving, don't have a place to stay. I mean, or won't have a place to stay now, or fighting to stay in a place, you know, and we're not doing anything about it. I mean, we could have, if it were me, you know, if I was running this shit show the way it is right now, I mean, I would have at least put money in the hands of the people. You know what I mean? And I get tired of hearing all these idiots going, well, then people will just sit home and do nothing, and people will be lazy. You know what I mean? Maybe some of these people just deserve a check anyway, because they've had a shitty life brought to them by a racist crapball society. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the reparations they need to you know, because their school system sucked, their housing district got redlined, you know, and they get pulled over by the police and killed for, you know, having a tail light out. I mean, God, it's just a damn disaster, man. It makes me just so. I was having a conversation with somebody this morning. They're telling me they're not. Well, you know, I'm not a racist. You know, I have black friends.
God, I love that quote.
I'm going like, and my dad was a racist, you know, and now my kid, he's even better, right? You know, and I'm like going, what? You think because you have a black friend, you're not a racist? I mean, everything that's coming out of your mouth is racist. I mean, it's like you're just talking about what are we gonna do with all these thugs and this riot and and I'm like, you know, where all these riots? There's not riots going on all over the place, you know. And by the way, the worst part about it is these people think they're smart, but they have no sense of history. They don't want to look and think about history. Hey, you realize, dude, that this whole country started because we poisoned and beat a bunch of tax collectors and threw their tea in the harbor. You know what I mean? I mean, that's kind of looting and killing people. You know, hey, revolutions sometimes, you know, we said it. Look, King George, we don't like this. We don't like the way you're treating us. Please don't treat us this way. And then finally, we just took up some arms and rid ourselves of them. Hey, assholes. These people aren't taking up arms. They're just walking in the street because they want to be, because everybody needs to be treated equal. I mean, I haven't done it myself. You know,
how many people have been shot with a rubber bullet for complaining about not wearing a mask and standing in front of houses and places with their guns, and they're like, I'm not wearing a mask, so I need to bring an AK-47 to show you that I'm not going to do so. I
mean, it's just insane. It's just really, you know, and it's got this. These people who think this way think, well, I'm not a racist, and I just don't believe in the COVID, and I just am going to support Donald Trump for his fiscal policies. I'm like, well, the country's a grab bag of shit. What fiscal policies do you like? Stocking up the, you know, propping up the stock market for the billionaires and letting everybody else, you know, eat, drink the sweat out of their socks. I mean, what policy do you like of this guy's? But I don't know, man. Maybe it's. I saw a thing the other day, and I can't remember what it was on. And the lady, and this is I think what I try to talk to my kids about. She was saying to the group of women, look, there's only one race, you know, and people are skin color is just different because of where we live. You know, some people live right on the equator and some people move somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there ain't as much sun. Hell, people live in Alaska, you know, when there's not sun for how many months of, I mean, just the further away you get from the equator changes your skin color. But we're all the same human race, right?
Yeah.
And I guess if people could just understand that, you know what I mean? And stop, you know, understand that a bunch of humans, women, black, any people, Mexicans or Mexican Americans, especially Indians, you know, these people have all been treated like shit forever. You know, I mean, they've had a bad, you know, deal, and we need to in a conscious have some humility and understand that, you know, like I got a lot of the stuff I got because I'm white. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't get shot doing all the stupid shit I did growing up, probably because I'm white. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't have to have, you know, and the guy says at the end of our conversation, he says, well, you know, I guess you just want these people in the streets to win. I said, win? What the fuck are they winning? They winning the idea that they don't have to tell their kids to keep your hands, son, make sure you keep your hands at 10 and 2 on the steering wheel. Don't make any sudden moves when they pull you over. Okay? I mean, what are you, I mean, that's insanity. You know, okay. Yeah, that's what I want. I do want them to win. I want them to not have to worry about that. You know, what are you going to do without police? Man, we'll still have plenty of police. They don't need to have tanks and shit. You know, spend about half that police budget on, you know, social services, and things will change. That's what people don't get. You don't have crime if you don't have to steal. Nobody wants to grow up and be a thief or a fucking drug dealer. You know, I mean, they just want an opportunity. That just happens to be the opportunity those people get, you know, so they're fucked from the beginning, you know?
Well, I love that. I love the comment of like, well, if you just don't do a crime, you'll never have a cop, you know, you should never have an issue. And it's like, that's what we're saying. Like, there's these people that aren't committing crimes that are getting arrested and getting shot. So now what?
Well,
you know,
I mean,
like,
or if you just do a little crime, like all those ones that most people my age laugh about when we were young,
lights
right?
out, stop signs.
If we just do a little crime, maybe we should just get the same little punishment that everybody else gets, you know, and a big crime get the same crime. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the thing about, you know, people are like, well, who was saying it? Well, this George Floyd, he was bad, he was whatever. I don't give how fucking bad what's horse shit. He fucking copped a $20 fucking bill and he gets murdered. And the only reason, here's the one, you know, if you think about it, maybe there's always a purpose for different things. And maybe the purpose, I mean, I'm not a real religious person, but I do think there is some karma in the universe that sets things into a cycle, right?
Yeah.
And basically, these cops have been murdering people of color. We have been just, and you know, we don't pay, and we're all too busy going about our lives to pay any attention to it, right? I mean, oh, okay, another murder. It's only one murder, and out of all, you know, but I think that COVID-19, it's odd. It locked us in our houses, so there was nothing else to see. Except this murder, you know, this horrible act of violence. And I think so maybe the sad gift of COVID-19, and God knows however many people died. I'm sure the number's so far underreported, it's unbelievable. But, you know, 300,000 Americans dying is that it woke up our social conscious to some violence that's been going on to our Black brothers and sisters for a long damn time, and we've been just ignored, you know, like, oh, well, just another day, shouldn't have done the crime if you didn't want to do the time, and all the other happy old shit. So hopefully, oh, my light went on. Now I'm all weirded out. Let me make this thing turn back on.
No, you're good.
So maybe the big benefit, John, was now we're all awake. So maybe something good will come out of it, right? So you asked me how I'm doing. I guess I got hope. You know?
Yeah, no, and honestly, that's a good way to end the podcast, man. Like with just the fact of like, hey man, like we started off, hey, how you doing? And now we ended it with, hey, I got hope, man. Like, no, that's rad. And honestly, man, I'm so glad that I got to have you on the podcast, and I really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, guys, we'll put links down below to, articles and some of that insurance stuff that he was talking about. That'll all be down in the description below. And like I said, man, if you've ever been injured, whether that's car accident, bike accident, or workers' comp or anything, even if you just want to call and see like, hey, is there something here? And like, I kind of need help. He's there to help you. Even with me, when I had insurance troubles and I needed some communication on that, they will help you guys with that. Give them a call. They'll walk you through it. Other than that, guys, thanks, Mike. Thanks, guys, for listening.
Buddy.
And take it easy.